Welcome back everybody to my channel. My name is Hobo Joe, and in today's video we're going to be talking about is Battlefront 2015 worth playing in 2023? Well, the short answer is no. It's aged. The gameplay is aged. It's a tad buggy. It doesn't have a wide player base anymore, so you can't really get online, and if you do, the lobbies won't be full. But despite all of that, it is still a really good time. But if you haven't played it and you're looking to invest into a new Star Wars game, I don't recommend this one. But if you've played it before and just wondering, should I go back and play it? You can play it for the offline modes. They're always a blast. And I'm a Star Wars collector, and if you enjoy Star Wars 2 and are looking to collect Star Wars memorabilia and also video games, there's no reason why you shouldn't have this one in your collection. This is the part of the video where I take a deep dive into the game, but Battlefront 2015, which I'll just refer to as Battlefront from now on, holds a very special place in my heart. So this video is going to be more like a love letter to this game. I was always late to the current generation of consoles, and I didn't get my PS4 until 2017. And the only game I ever wanted for it was, at the time, was Battlefront. But let's back up for a minute. Battlefront came out on November 17th, 2015 for PS4, Xbox One, and Windows PC. It was a Star Wars first-person and third-person shooter. I remember the first trailer. I was 13 and I was at my grandma's, and my brother showed me the official reveal trailer. And of course, couldn't get it at the time because I didn't even have an Xbox 360 yet. I had a Wii, and I wouldn't get my 360 till that Christmas. And I remember seeing the speeders on Endor and just the open battles, and I remember the awe of feeling like no other. I was so excited, but quickly forgot about the game since a PS4 seemed so out of reach. It was so unattainable, almost like folklore or a myth. I knew the Xbox 360 was aging, so it was dropping in price, and the PlayStation was new around there, so I know I would never be able to get one. Well, at least that's what I thought. And also wasn't my first Star Wars game. My first Star Wars game was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64. But a next-gen Star Wars experience was too good to be true, or at least almost. Fast forward 1 year to the next summer, which is very important. Summer's an important season for this story. I was at my friend's house, and he had just gotten an Xbox One, and he had Battlefront. I remember versing my friend on Endor as Darth Vader, fighting Luke Skywalker, and this feeling took over me, seeing these iconic characters on this iconic world, just on the screen, being able to control them and just see them. And that's where my love and obsession for Star Wars begun. That was really the spark that enabled this flame that's still burning bright today. Of course, at that age, I went through phases of being obsessed with certain things and with different things. It was a real trip back then. I would jump from one thing to the other. I think it was me trying to find who I am, like most of us. My first real obsession was Marvel and DC superheroes and villains, and just those universes, but I grew out of it. I always loved it over the years, but I was never into it. I always said I was, but I could care less about the comics or the lore and stuff. I just liked the movies, which, albeit, weren't that good back in the day. At least Marvel wasn't that good back in the day. Then I really got into The Simpsons for a little bit, and then South Park, but quickly grew out of those as my interest just dropped, because I really just liked it because they made me laugh. And I believe back then I was obsessed with Legos and creating and building stuff. I just loved anything to do with working with my hands, so I was obsessed with Legos, and I think I got some Simpsons Legos which made me obsessed, and the ability to create South Park characters out of cardboard was super easy. So really having those helped me with my obsession, but I grew out of those pretty fast. But Star Wars was different. I never grew out of it, and I only got more invested in. I really care about the lore and the characters and their journeys and just even menial things in the world. I cared about everything. And also didn't help that Battlefront 2 was rumored at that time, and I remember I was so stoked when I heard that. It was still before I got my PS4, but I could not wait for that. I wanted to play as much of the first game before I played the second game, and yeah, I was super excited that we were getting another Star Wars game. And one of the things I was super excited about was that the prequels were going to be in Battlefront 2. I know back when I first started liking Star Wars, I was an original trilogy fanboy, but over the course of years, as my knowledge has grown, I've grown to love the prequels way more than the real original trilogy and how in-depth it is. And of course, Anakin Skywalker is the greatest character in movie history. Fast forward to the next summer, my dad bought me a PS4, which is a very long story for another time. But he told me a month before he was going to buy me it, or a little longer. So that whole time, I only thought of Battlefront. I watched every video I could. I was imagining like the Darth Vader needed my help, and I was a legendary warrior who was retired, and I made up this whole story. And long story short, I was not good at the game, but I had so much fun. So that fateful day when we went to GameStop and I got my PlayStation 4, you know I picked up Battlefront, and I think it was even cheap for back then. And I know I really wanted the Vader edition, but they didn't have it at the time. They had it 100 miles away. I just didn't feel like waiting, so I got the regular PlayStation. But for about 95% of this game, when I played it, I didn't have PS Plus, couldn't afford it. So I played the offline modes to death. I remember versing my brother so much to the point where we couldn't stand each other anymore. We were raging so hard when we beat each other, or one of us beat the other. And it was summer and it was super hot, which didn't help our stressful thing. But no matter how mad we got, we'd still play with each other, and we'd get angrier and angrier. But we had a blast, and I just love thinking back to versing him on all the different maps and playing co-op with him, and just it was so amazing. So like I said, I played those offline modes to death, to the point of extreme rage. But those memories, it's you guys know how it is with those certain games. You'll never get them back, and I love just the abilities the characters get. The more you kill, like Luke Skywalker, when you kill enough people, you get super fast. And I love the way you jump. I know it sucks that you can't dodge in this game. You know, I believe you can put it on cards, I mean in your loadout, but just having a dodge button in the second game, it's really just an overall improvement in the first game. But nonetheless, the first game had just a special place, especially for heroes. You're so overpowered, and I was so bad back then that I die so fast, so have the ability to heal in the second game was also a plus. But now I want to go into the multiplayer and solo modes just a little bit. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, like I said, this was just me gushing over how good this game was and how fond of memories I have of it. But I went through all the offline modes again to experience the game, and I played some battles with Luke Skywalker, Vader, Palpatine, Boba Fett, and Jyn Erso. All the characters excluding Jyn, because she's not in the second one, they feel really outdated and not as optimized as Battlefront 2. And yeah, overall just less refined, and the voice acting, all of them sound pretty bad, except for Palpatine and Boba Fett, because they're the same voice actors, I believe. I might be wrong. But the maps, loadouts, blasters, customization are just overall better in this game. My favorite part of the game is the Starfighter mode and survival. I was so obsessed with dogfighting back in the day. I thought I was the best pilot in the galaxy. And of course it's not the most refined. It's not even as good as Squadrons, which I covered. And if you want to know if that game's worth playing in 2023, I have a video out now. Same with Battlefront 2. But shameless plug aside, it's just a real arcadey feel, and there's not a lot of maneuvers you can do, but it's just really fun. And you can't even heal. You have to go down and find healing. It doesn't heal automatically, but I just had a blast with it, especially in first person. I love first person in games and stuff, and the survival mode was just so awesome, and the maps were just so gorgeous. They're so much better than the second game, like I've already said, but both were extremely fun and replayable. And playing offline, I just did it for hours. I know a skirmish mode had that, and the Walker Assault game mode, which has also aged, but I did play that one, and it was super fun too. Playing as Luke Skywalker was a blast, as it always is. So to be frank, the graphics are overall amazing, and the care and thought of the maps and detail are unmatched by any other Star Wars shooter, excluding the prequel maps on Star Wars Battlefront 2, but of course DICE made both of them. Just, I think they used like the picture thing where they take pictures of like the real life places and then put them into the game, but it's so good, and it's a game from 2015, it looks better than most AAA games nowadays. And you can just see that the people who made this really did care about Star Wars and were fans. Throughout all of it, you can see the work and stuff that they did. And I think the detail is just unmatched by any other shooter out there. And I don't even think that's controversial. But I'm a Star Wars fan, so I have a huge bias. But it sucks because I could only find one multiplayer game mode. And I was a little bit unmatched. I mean, my level was pretty low. I didn't have good abilities. And I think I was just outgunned and outmatched by their loadouts, which is okay. If I actually played a whole lot, I would be able to, you know, get used to it. I think I went 20 and 27, which is kind of bad. I know it is bad, but like I said, I can't really find what's game modes because most people are not really playing this game anymore. I know there's just a diehard community, but I'm more of a Battlefront 2 guy, and I'll play that game until no one plays it anymore. I remember playing it when no one played it back when we still had service. That's the funny thing with Battlefront 2. When no one played it, they kept it going, but when everyone started playing it, they like canceled the service. To this day, no one understands why they did it. It was one of the dumbest things they could have done. Look at Fortnite and all the money they probably made off of the Star Wars Celebration just selling skins. You know, EA was not thinking, but overall, this is just a love letter to this game and how good it is. If you guys have not played it, just play it for the offline. I don't recommend buying it if you're looking to really get invested in a Star Wars shooter. Go to Battlefront 2. I know that game also won't have players forever, but it has a bigger community right now than the first Battlefront. Of course, these games will both die off, and hopefully we get another Star Wars shooter in the future so we can all gush about that one too. But I don't think it's worth it if you want to get invested into a Star Wars game. It's worth it just for the fun, and the nostalgia really carries me through, just like most of you guys. And we can all agree that the guns are just way better, there's a better variety. Of course there's meta guns, but that's okay. And the maps are just so amazing. And, you know, they could have brought back these old characters too, like Nine Nub and Dengar. I don't care about Commander Krennic or Jyn Erso, but I know some people do, so they released good characters in this, and there was Greedo too, which was really fun. But overall, thank you guys for watching this episode, this video. I always say episode. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to not saying it. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much for showing up. If you liked the video, hopefully you can like and subscribe, join the community. We have a great community here, and we're growing, which I'm very grateful for. But take care, guys, and God bless.